Lumix have come out absolutely swinging this year with a brand new microphone. Now this microphone sits on a hot shoe on the top of all of the S-series Lumix cameras, and it's just amazing to see finally that Panasonic is leaning into their history of audio equipment and technology, and finally we're seeing a microphone that is native for Lumix cameras. Now Lumix has sent me one to try out, so what better way to do that than a little in-field test. I'm going to go to the top of Paratutu Rock, which is a wee mountain here in New Plymouth, and I'm going to give you a rundown of all the things that I like about this mic and all the things that I don't like about this mic. Okay, so the first thing that I like about this microphone is 6 different polar patterns that it has. You can actually hear the difference between each one. On top of it sits 4 different microphones, and each one is working simultaneously in order to give you the best polar pattern that encapsulates the sound that you want to capture. In fact, this is what it sounds like recording natively from the camera. And then this is what it sounds like when you swap it to the Lumix microphone. There's so much more body, so much more tonology, so many more layers and so much more depth to that sound. Okay, we're at the top of Paratutu Rock. It's a little bit windy here, probably like 10 knots, maybe 10 knots of wind. And I've got it on polar pattern number 4. I'm about a meter away here. So what you're hearing is wind. I can see the dead kitten on the top just flailing in the wind a little bit. And I'm about a meter away, and this is what it sounds like. In wind, on the top of a mountain, and me talking directly to the microphone from 1 meter away. See how it sounds? This brings me to my next point. It records in 32-bit float, which is an industry standard of sound recording, and it gives you so much freedom and so much depth in post-production to really push and pull the audio and the sound as much as you like to get the desired result. One of the things I love the most about this is that it records in 4 different channels. There's backups for backups. Channel 1 and Channel 2 are like your main recording, and then Channel 3 and Channel 4 are your backups. It's got one microphone that's recording everything, then other microphones that are recording slightly different decibel ratings of the polar pattern that you've picked. Another thing that I love about this mic is how they've put the dampeners, like the suspension system, kind of inside of the mic. One of the things I'm looking forward to seeing how well it works is internal suspension system. So unlike a Rode, which has its kind of suspension on the outside, usually like rubber bands and like specially designed to dampen the sound of movement, this Lumix mic has it all internally built. So I'm very curious to see how well it handles climbing up a mountain like this, and seeing if we can hear any knocking noises or any sort of movement. That I guess we'll find out. And I'm still using polar pattern 6 for this. What I have noticed, however, when holding the camera is that sometimes the sound from the camera travels up through the hot shoe into the microphone. Even though the suspension system is there to dampen movement sounds, the actual like knocking sounds or grabbing sounds of the camera, I've found does actually travel up to the microphone as well. Now, most cameras run like an AUX cable that plugs into the side. Of course, if you can reduce as many cables as possible within your loadout, that's always going to be a good thing. It runs straight through the hot shoe. It doesn't take a battery. There's no cables. It turns on automatically, and it has a really nice form factor and profile that sits tight and snug right onto the camera. The only downside to this is that it doesn't work with any other cameras, so this is a Lumix specific microphone only. Now, another design feature that I love about this microphone is actually the little flip door on the side. I think that's a really welcome addition, especially because it's guarding all of the buttons that are on the side. So easy is it to knock a button or turn off a button when you're running gun, when you're in the moment and you're shooting. Now, one thing I noticed within my testing, I didn't notice that much difference between the different features here. So we've got like a wind cut here, we've got a gain. Right, I've just changed it back to polar pattern number 4 because that's the most directional one, and I think that'll probably be the one you'd use the most if you're in like an interview situation face to face. So I figured this might be the best one to use for this example. I've just put the wind cut up to high. So this is what it sounds like with the wind cut set to high. This is what it sounds like with the wind cut set to off. So there's no wind cut now. So I don't know if that's making any difference, but there's no wind cut. It was originally on standard for the rest of this test. It is now off. This is what it sounds like. Polar pattern number 4 with no wind cut. I didn't find any reduction in the audio quality while using some of these settings on the side. I do have like a little windsock on the top, a little dead kitten, which it comes with, and I think it was probably about 10 or 15 knots of wind up there, and yeah, I thought the audio quality that came out of that was really good. Okay, so last week the neighbour's tree fell down, just randomly. It wasn't even bad weather or anything, it just fell down. And of course there's some arborists there today, cutting it up with a chainsaw, and I guess what perfect way to test how this microphone works. This is polar pattern number 1, chainsaw in the back, me talking to camera. Polar pattern number 2 with the chainsaws going and me talking to the camera. Polar pattern number 3 with me talking to the camera and the chainsaws are still really loud. Polar pattern number 4, this is the most directional polar pattern of all the polar patterns. And this is what it sounds like, me talking to the camera 1 meter away and the chainsaw going. Okay, polar pattern number 3, the Sennheiser MKE200. This is the difference between the sounds. The cameras are the exact same length away. I'm using an 18mm on the S9 and a 20mm on the S1 too. But this is what it sounds like. I don't know if it's picking me up very well. I don't know if it's, yeah. I can already see way more waveforms on the S9 compared to the S1 with the Lumix microphone. It's getting a small waveform there, but at the end of the day it doesn't matter because there's so much audio captured with 32-bit float. Now I'm going to have to bring those levels up or anything anyway. But I am going to just leave this, unless I get back to the editing suite and it's really, really quiet, I'm going to just put this audio in raw. I'm not going to add any filter to it or do anything to it. I just want you guys to see it raw. But if I do need to bring up the volume of it because it is quiet, because it is very quiet on the bars on my screen now, then I am going to add some volume. But we'll make a decision on that a little bit later on. That's the Lumix DMW-DMS1. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Of course, hit that subscribe button if you're interested in anything sport, travel, or camera reviews. And until then, I'll see you on the next video. And if I won't, just hit me in the comments. Come and hang out, come and chat. Get on the gram, get in the comments. Man, I'm here all day. Peace. Yeah, so usually there's a big mountain there. Right there, Mount Taranaki, but it is shrouded in cloud. Also, polar pattern number 5. That big chimney there, it's unused, derelict, some may say. That there is a model car, like a toy car racetrack. Looks, yeah, bigger than what it actually is from up here. This looks like a great place to fly an FPV drone, just like a bando. In fact, you could do a run here and whoosh over here, fucking dive bomb down that, bam, that'd be an unreal FPV course. And there's the car park, so there's my car there, nice, I'm gonna head back down there soon. Polar pattern number 5, baby. Oh, that's the Sugarloaf, I just took a photo of that before, pretty nice. What a nice shot, just like against the just the infinity sky. Looks cool. Looks cool. All right, let's head back down.